Have you ever met someone who seems to know exactly how you're feeling before you say a single word? Someone who can sense sadness behind a smile, detect tension in a room within seconds, or somehow understand emotions that even you haven't fully processed yet. If so, you may have encountered a Cancer. Among all the zodiac signs, Cancer possesses one of the most extraordinary gifts that astrology often associates with emotional awareness. While other signs may focus on logic, ambition, adventure, or power, Cancer focuses on something much deeper and more personal. They are naturally drawn toward the hidden emotional world that exists beneath the surface of every human interaction. Many people describe Cancer as sensitive, but that description barely scratches the surface of who they truly are. The truth is that Cancer is an emotional genius capable of reading people in ways that often seem almost supernatural. Cancer is represented by the crab, a creature known for its hard outer shell and soft interior. This symbol perfectly reflects the unique personality and emotional nature of Cancer individuals. At first glance, they may appear reserved, cautious, guarded, or even difficult to fully understand. They rarely reveal their deepest emotions immediately after meeting someone new. Instead, they prefer to observe, listen carefully, and study the people around them. While others are busy speaking, Cancer is often quietly collecting valuable emotional information. They notice facial expressions that most people completely overlook during conversations. They notice subtle changes in tone that reveal feelings hidden beneath spoken words. They pay attention to body language that often reveals more than language ever could. They sense emotional energy long before anyone else realizes something is wrong. One of the biggest misconceptions about Cancer is that they are simply emotional people. While it is certainly true that Cancer feels emotions deeply, their real power goes far beyond that. Their greatest strength lies in their ability to understand emotions with remarkable depth and accuracy. They understand not only their own emotions but also the emotions of people around them. To Cancer, emotions are a language that deserves attention and understanding. Cancer speaks that emotional language more fluently than almost any other zodiac sign. They can often detect feelings that people are desperately trying to hide from the world. A friend may insist that everything is fine, yet Cancer notices the forced smile immediately. A partner may claim to be happy, but Cancer hears sadness hidden beneath every word. It often feels as though Cancer possesses an emotional radar that never stops working. This emotional radar constantly scans the environment for signals others cannot see. Their ability comes from a natural connection to human feelings and emotional experiences. They do not simply hear words the way most people do. They feel the emotions that exist behind those words. While most people focus on what is being said, Cancer focuses on how it is being said. They notice when someone's voice becomes quieter than normal during a conversation. They notice when eye contact suddenly disappears for no obvious reason. They notice when laughter sounds forced rather than genuinely joyful. These tiny details may seem insignificant to most people. To Cancer, however, these details reveal entire emotional stories. One reason Cancer is so skilled at reading people is because they genuinely care about others. Unlike people who analyze others for personal advantage, Cancer seeks understanding from compassion. They want to know who is hurting even when nobody talks about it openly. They want to know who feels lonely behind a confident appearance. They want to know who needs support during difficult moments. They want to know who is silently struggling without asking for help. Their empathy naturally motivates them to pay close attention to people's emotions. They often place themselves in other people's situations and imagine how they would feel. This habit allows them to understand emotional experiences from multiple perspectives. As a result, they develop incredible depth and accuracy when reading human emotions. Very few people can match the emotional awareness Cancer possesses naturally. This remarkable understanding of people becomes one of the defining traits of the Cancer personality. Because of this empathy, many people find themselves opening up to Cancer without even planning to. There is something about Cancer's presence that naturally makes people feel safe and comfortable. Even complete strangers often share personal stories after only a short conversation with them. Cancer creates an atmosphere of trust that encourages honesty and vulnerability. They listen carefully without rushing to judge or criticize others. They offer genuine understanding rather than empty sympathy. They make people feel seen, heard, and emotionally valued. In a world where many people are simply waiting for their turn to speak, Cancer truly listens. That rare ability alone makes them stand out from the crowd. However, this extraordinary gift is not always easy for Cancer to carry. Being emotionally aware means they often absorb the feelings of those around them. They can walk into a room and instantly sense tension, sadness, excitement, or anxiety. Even when nobody says a single word, Cancer feels the emotional atmosphere. Their sensitivity allows them to notice emotional currents invisible to others. Sometimes this level of awareness becomes overwhelming. They carry emotions that do not even belong to them personally. While others move through life unaware of emotional energy, Cancer feels every wave. One of Cancer's most fascinating abilities is understanding hidden motives. They often know when someone is being dishonest or insincere. They frequently recognize manipulation before anyone else notices it. This does not mean they possess magical powers. Instead, they are experts at noticing inconsistencies between words and actions. If someone says one thing but behaves differently, Cancer immediately notices. If a smile does not match a person's eyes, Cancer notices that too. If someone's behavior suddenly changes without explanation, Cancer becomes aware of it quickly. Their intuition is built upon thousands of tiny observations. Those observations combine together to form a much larger picture. This is one reason it is extremely difficult to fool a Cancer. While others may become distracted by appearances, Cancer looks beneath the surface. They are less interested in what people claim and more interested in what they reveal unintentionally. Many individuals underestimate Cancer because of their gentle personality. However, that can be a serious mistake. Behind their kindness exists a highly observant and emotionally intelligent mind. They are constantly gathering information without drawing attention to themselves. In relationships, Cancer's emotional intelligence becomes even more powerful. They often know what loved ones need before being asked. They remember important details that others tend to forget. They recognize emotional patterns that reveal deeper truths. They provide comfort exactly when it is needed most. A Cancer partner often notices subtle mood changes long before anyone else does. They may ask if something is wrong even when everything appears perfectly normal. More often than not, their instincts prove correct. Because Cancer invests so much emotional energy into relationships, they seek genuine connections. Superficial interactions rarely satisfy their emotional needs. They crave trust, authenticity, and emotional depth. They want relationships where people feel safe enough to remove their masks. They want honesty rather than perfection. They want emotional truth rather than carefully constructed appearances. Meaningful conversations nourish Cancer in ways small talk never can. They are naturally drawn toward people willing to share their inner world honestly. Yet this same sensitivity can also become Cancer's greatest challenge because feeling deeply means experiencing both joy and pain with equal intensity. Because Cancer absorbs emotions so strongly, they are often more vulnerable to emotional wounds than people realize. Harsh words may be forgotten quickly by others, but Cancer often remembers them for a very long time. Betrayal affects Cancer profoundly because trust means everything to their emotional world. Rejection can leave deep scars that remain in their heart long after the situation has passed. While some zodiac signs move on from emotional pain rather quickly, Cancer often carries those memories for years. Their memories are strongly connected to emotions, making certain experiences impossible to forget completely. Another reason Cancer reads people so well is because they spend much of their life studying human emotions. While others focus primarily on achievements, status, or material success, Cancer often focuses on understanding people. They constantly wonder why individuals behave the way they do in different situations. They think deeply about relationships and the emotional forces that shape them. They analyze motivations, fears, insecurities, hopes, and hidden desires. This constant reflection helps Cancer develop extraordinary insight into human behavior. Many Cancers possess an almost uncanny ability to predict emotional outcomes before they happen. They may sense that a friendship is beginning to weaken long before anyone else notices. They may recognize relationship problems while everything still appears normal on the surface. They often detect emotional shifts when everyone around them remains completely unaware. This foresight is not magic, but the result of their deep understanding of emotional patterns. Family plays an especially important role in Cancer's life because emotional security means everything to them. More than almost anything else, Cancer values the feeling of belonging and emotional safety. They naturally become protectors, caretakers, and supporters within their family circles. They want the people they love to feel secure, valued, appreciated, and understood. Cancer often places the needs of loved ones above their own personal comfort. Their nurturing nature makes them one of the most compassionate signs in the zodiac. They are often the first people to offer help when someone is struggling emotionally. They genuinely care about the well-being of those they love. However, Cancer's caring nature can sometimes create emotional exhaustion. They spend so much time worrying about others that they forget to care for themselves. They often absorb problems that are not theirs to solve. They carry emotional burdens belonging to friends, family members, and partners. Over time, this responsibility can become extremely overwhelming. One of Cancer's greatest life lessons is learning that compassion does not require self-sacrifice. They must learn that helping others should not come at the expense of their own well-being. Despite their reputation for sensitivity, Cancer is far stronger than most people realize. Their strength simply looks different from traditional ideas of power and toughness. While some signs fight challenges with force, Cancer fights through resilience and endurance. They survive emotional storms that would completely break many other people. They continue loving even after experiencing heartbreak and disappointment. They continue caring even after being hurt by those they trusted. Their strength comes directly from the heart rather than from aggression or control. Because of this, their resilience is often underestimated by others. Cancer may appear soft on the outside, but their emotional endurance is remarkable. They possess the ability to recover from pain while maintaining their compassion. Even after difficult experiences, they continue believing in love and human connection. This ability to remain caring despite hardship is one of Cancer's greatest strengths. It takes tremendous courage to stay kind in a world that often rewards emotional distance. Cancer demonstrates that courage every time they choose empathy over bitterness. Their strength is not loud or dramatic, but it is powerful nonetheless. They prove that emotional resilience can be just as impressive as physical strength. This hidden toughness is one of the most misunderstood aspects of the Cancer personality. Cancer's intuition is perhaps the most mysterious and fascinating quality associated with this zodiac sign. Many Cancers experience moments where they simply know something without being able to explain how. They may sense danger before any obvious warning signs appear. They may recognize hidden emotions long before those feelings are openly expressed. They sometimes predict events or outcomes that later prove surprisingly accurate. While skeptics may call this coincidence, Cancer often trusts these instincts. Experience has taught them that their intuition is usually worth listening to. Their instincts are built upon years of emotional observation and subconscious pattern recognition. One reason people admire Cancer so deeply is because they make others feel genuinely understood. Every person wants to feel seen, valued, and emotionally recognized. Everyone hopes for someone who notices when they are struggling in silence. Everyone wants someone who understands emotions that are difficult to express. Cancer provides this gift naturally and without effort. They offer emotional validation in a world that often ignores feelings. Their presence reminds people that vulnerability is not a weakness. They show others that emotions deserve attention rather than judgment. As Cancer matures, they learn how to balance empathy with healthy boundaries. Younger Cancers may absorb every emotion around them without protection. Older and wiser Cancers understand the importance of protecting their own energy. They learn that helping people does not require carrying everyone's pain. They begin to understand that emotional intelligence includes self-care as well. They discover that compassion works best when it is balanced with personal well-being. The emotional genius of Cancer becomes most visible during life's most difficult moments. When everyone else feels confused, overwhelmed, or lost, Cancer often becomes a source of comfort. They know how to listen when people need understanding rather than advice. They know how to support others during emotional storms. They know how to encourage people when hope seems difficult to find. Their presence alone often helps others feel less alone. Sometimes that gift is more valuable than any solution or answer. Many people spend their lives trying to understand others through logic alone. Cancer understands people primarily through empathy and emotional awareness. They know that behind every action exists an emotion waiting to be understood. They know that behind every decision exists a feeling influencing the outcome. They know that behind every person exists a story that deserves compassion. This perspective gives Cancer a level of insight that very few people can match. The shocking truth about Cancer is that their greatest power is not sensitivity alone. Their greatest power is perception. They see emotional realities that other people overlook completely. They understand what remains unspoken during conversations. They notice feelings that remain hidden beneath the surface. While others focus on appearances, Cancer focuses on emotional truth. Not the truth people show to the world, but the truth they carry within their hearts. At their best, Cancer reminds us that emotional intelligence is one of humanity's greatest strengths. In a world obsessed with status, money, and achievement, Cancer teaches the value of compassion. They remind us of the importance of understanding, kindness, and human connection. They prove that strength is not always loud, aggressive, or visible. Sometimes true strength is the ability to care deeply in a world that encourages emotional distance. Cancer does not need dramatic clues, long explanations, or detailed confessions to understand people. Have you ever met someone whose presence feels impossible to ignore even when they are sitting quietly without saying a single word? Someone who walks into a room calmly and silently, yet somehow makes everyone aware of their existence almost immediately? Someone who seems capable of understanding secrets people never shared and emotions people desperately try to hide from the world? If so, chances are you have encountered a Scorpio. Among all the zodiac signs, Scorpio has earned one of the most mysterious, powerful, and intimidating reputations in astrology. They are often described as intense, secretive, fearless, and impossible to fully understand. Many people even refer to Scorpio as the most dangerous sign of the zodiac. But is that reputation actually true, or is there a deeper reality hidden beneath the myths and stereotypes? The answer reveals one of the most fascinating and misunderstood personalities in the entire zodiac. Scorpio is represented by the scorpion, a creature known for patience, awareness, strategy, and its powerful defensive sting. Unlike animals that rely on speed, size, or physical strength, the scorpion survives through intelligence and timing. This symbolism reflects Scorpio's personality with remarkable accuracy. Scorpio rarely rushes into situations without understanding what is happening first. They prefer observing before acting and listening before speaking. While others reveal their intentions quickly, Scorpio often keeps their thoughts private. They believe knowledge is valuable and should not be shared carelessly. Their natural secrecy often makes people curious about them. It can also make others feel intimidated without understanding exactly why. Scorpio rarely reveals everything they know or feel. They prefer maintaining a certain level of mystery around themselves. This mystery naturally attracts attention because people are curious about what remains hidden. One reason Scorpio is considered dangerous is because they possess an extraordinary ability to see through people. Most individuals focus primarily on appearances, words, and social behavior. Scorpio focuses on what exists beneath the surface. They pay close attention to inconsistencies in behavior. They notice hidden motives behind actions. They observe emotional reactions that others completely overlook. They study patterns that reveal deeper truths about people. While others hear what someone says, Scorpio notices what remains unsaid. They pay attention to hesitation, tone, body language, and emotional energy. This ability gives them remarkable insight into human nature. Many people find this ability both impressive and intimidating. It can feel almost supernatural to those who experience it. Scorpio often understands people better than those people understand themselves. They recognize fears that remain hidden behind confidence. They recognize insecurity hidden beneath arrogance. They recognize sadness hidden behind laughter and smiles. They notice emotional truths that most people fail to see. This awareness is one of Scorpio's greatest strengths. The truth is that Scorpio is not dangerous because they are aggressive or hostile. They are dangerous because they are aware. They notice weaknesses that others overlook. They recognize strengths that remain hidden. They understand fears, desires, motivations, and insecurities. This awareness gives Scorpio a unique understanding of human behavior. People often feel exposed around Scorpio because hiding becomes difficult. Even when Scorpio remains silent, their observation creates intensity. Others sense that Scorpio sees more than they reveal. That feeling often creates fascination and discomfort at the same time. This is where much of Scorpio's mysterious reputation begins. One of Scorpio's greatest powers is their extraordinary emotional intelligence and ability to understand human nature on a deep level. While signs like Virgo often analyze facts and details, and Gemini analyzes ideas and possibilities, Scorpio analyzes people. They are fascinated by what motivates human behavior beneath the surface. They want to understand why people make certain decisions and what influences their choices. They seek to uncover the emotional forces that shape actions, relationships, and personal growth. This curiosity often leads Scorpio towards subjects that many people avoid discussing. They are drawn toward psychology, transformation, secrets, emotions, and personal development. They are interested in understanding both the light and dark sides of human nature. Unlike many people who avoid uncomfortable truths, Scorpio prefers confronting them directly. They believe understanding reality is more valuable than living comfortably in illusions. Because Scorpio understands emotions so deeply, they often recognize hidden feelings before anyone else notices them. They can sense jealousy hiding behind compliments and praise. They can recognize insecurity hidden beneath confidence and arrogance. They can detect sadness hidden behind smiles and laughter. They can feel fear hidden beneath anger and aggression. This emotional awareness allows Scorpio to navigate complex situations with remarkable accuracy. It helps them understand people on a level that feels almost instinctive. Others often wonder how Scorpio always seems to know what is really happening. The answer is simple. Scorpio pays attention when everyone else is distracted. They observe details that most people completely ignore. Another reason Scorpio earns the label of dangerous is their incredible self-control. Most people reveal emotions through facial expressions, impulsive reactions, or careless words. Scorpio is often very different. They have an unusual ability to remain composed during emotionally intense situations. While others react immediately, Scorpio often pauses and observes first. They prefer understanding a situation completely before deciding how to respond. This patience creates an aura of strength and control. People often struggle to predict what Scorpio is thinking. They rarely reveal their full emotional state to everyone around them. This unpredictability contributes to their mysterious image. Prediction gives people a sense of comfort and certainty. Mystery creates uncertainty and curiosity. Scorpio naturally exists within that mystery. One of the most misunderstood traits of Scorpio is their silence. Many people mistakenly assume silence reflects insecurity or weakness. In Scorpio's case, silence often means something entirely different. Their silence is usually a sign of observation and awareness. They are gathering information before reaching conclusions. They are studying people, situations, and emotional dynamics. They are learning what others willingly reveal about themselves. While many people rush to speak, Scorpio prefers to listen. While others reveal themselves quickly, Scorpio remains patient. This patience often gives Scorpio a significant advantage. By the time others realize what is happening, Scorpio has already learned a great deal. They often understand situations more clearly than those directly involved. Their ability to remain quiet allows them to notice important details. It also prevents them from making unnecessary mistakes. Scorpio understands that information has value. The more they observe, the more powerful their understanding becomes. This combination of patience, awareness, and self-control is one of the foundations of Scorpio's legendary reputation. This patience is one of Scorpio's most powerful and underestimated weapons in life. In a world where many people seek instant results and immediate gratification, Scorpio understands the value of waiting. They know that timing often determines success more than speed. Opportunities frequently belong to those who are patient enough to recognize them. Scorpio rarely allows impatience to control important decisions. They prefer making calculated moves rather than emotional reactions. Their strategic mindset helps them avoid mistakes that others make through haste. This ability contributes significantly to Scorpio's reputation for power and influence. However, Scorpio's greatest strength may also be one of the reasons people fear them. Scorpio rarely forgets important experiences, conversations, promises, or betrayals. Their memory is often remarkably sharp when emotions are involved. While many people move on quickly from important events, Scorpio remembers the lessons they contain. They store emotional experiences deep within their memory. These memories become valuable sources of wisdom and self-protection. Scorpio learns from every success, failure, disappointment, and challenge they encounter. This ability allows them to grow stronger with experience. It also explains why betrayal affects Scorpio so deeply. Trust is one of the most important values in Scorpio's life. They do not offer trust casually or carelessly. When they trust someone, they invest emotionally and sincerely. They believe loyalty should be earned and respected. Because trust matters so much, betrayal feels especially painful to them. The famous stereotype of Scorpio seeking revenge is often exaggerated. However, it contains a small element of truth that many people misunderstand. Scorpio values loyalty more than almost any other zodiac sign. They expect honesty, commitment, and sincerity from the people they care about. When trust is broken, the emotional wound often remains for a long time. Unlike signs that forgive and forget easily, Scorpio remembers how betrayal felt. The issue is not always anger or hatred. The issue is memory and emotional impact. Scorpio remembers lessons because they do not want to repeat painful experiences. Their caution often develops from past disappointments. Yet the hidden truth about Scorpio is that their greatest power is not revenge at all. Their greatest power is transformation. Scorpio is the zodiac sign most closely associated with rebirth, growth, and personal evolution. Throughout life, Scorpio experiences numerous emotional transformations. They often encounter challenges that force them to change and grow. These experiences may include losses, disappointments, failures, or personal struggles. Many people would feel overwhelmed by such difficulties. Scorpio often emerges stronger because of them. Like a phoenix rising from ashes, Scorpio possesses a remarkable ability to rebuild. They can reinvent themselves after difficult chapters of life. They do not allow hardship to define their future permanently. Instead, they use pain as fuel for growth and improvement. Every challenge becomes an opportunity to become wiser and stronger. Every setback becomes a lesson rather than a final defeat. This resilience is one of the most impressive qualities Scorpio possesses. It allows them to survive situations that might break other people. Their ability to endure creates tremendous inner strength. Many people admire Scorpio's strength without understanding how much struggle created it. Behind every powerful Scorpio is usually a story filled with challenges, growth, and personal transformation. The strength people admire did not appear overnight or without effort. It was built through experience, resilience, and emotional endurance. Another hidden aspect of Scorpio is their incredible loyalty toward those they truly trust. Because they are often portrayed as mysterious or intimidating, many people overlook this quality. Scorpio may not express affection as openly as some other zodiac signs. However, their loyalty runs deeper than most people realize. Once someone earns Scorpio's trust, they gain a dedicated ally and supporter. Scorpio will often stand beside loved ones during difficult times. They do not disappear when challenges appear. Instead, they become even more protective and supportive. Their loyalty is demonstrated through actions rather than words alone. They believe genuine commitment requires consistency and reliability. This makes Scorpio one of the most dependable signs when trust exists. In friendships, Scorpio values quality far more than quantity. They would rather have a few trusted friends than countless superficial acquaintances. Meaningful relationships matter more to them than popularity. Small talk rarely satisfies Scorpio's desire for connection. They prefer conversations that explore thoughts, emotions, and deeper truths. Authenticity is extremely important to them. They want relationships built upon honesty and mutual understanding. Surface-level interactions rarely hold their attention for long. They seek genuine emotional depth in the people they allow into their lives. This desire for authenticity often strengthens their friendships. In romantic relationships, Scorpio's intensity becomes even more noticeable. Scorpio does not approach love casually or half-heartedly. When they love someone, they invest emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. They give their heart completely rather than partially. This creates relationships filled with passion, devotion, and emotional depth. Their commitment often feels powerful because it is sincere. However, this intensity also means they expect honesty in return. Scorpio can tolerate many imperfections and flaws. What they struggle to tolerate is dishonesty and betrayal. Trust remains the foundation of every meaningful relationship for them. One reason people are both attracted to and intimidated by Scorpio is their confidence. Unlike Leo's visible confidence or Aries' bold confidence, Scorpio's confidence is quiet and controlled. They do not need constant validation from others to feel secure. Their strength comes from self-awareness and inner belief. They understand their abilities and trust themselves. Even when others doubt them, Scorpio often continues moving forward confidently. This self-assurance creates a powerful and magnetic presence. People naturally respect individuals who believe in themselves. Scorpio rarely feels the need to prove their worth through words. They prefer allowing actions and results to speak for them. This quiet confidence often feels more powerful than loud displays of strength. It creates an aura of mystery and authority. Others sense that Scorpio knows exactly who they are. That certainty becomes one of the reasons they command respect. Their confidence is built on experience rather than appearance. And that inner strength is one of the qualities that makes Scorpio truly unforgettable. Scorpio also possesses an extraordinary level of determination that allows them to pursue goals long after others have given up and moved on. Once Scorpio sets their mind on something they truly want, their focus becomes intense, unwavering, and incredibly difficult to break. Obstacles that discourage other people often become additional motivation for Scorpio to keep pushing forward. They view challenges as tests of strength rather than reasons to abandon their ambitions and dreams. Scorpio is willing to work quietly behind the scenes for extended periods without seeking recognition or praise. They understand that meaningful success often requires patience, sacrifice, discipline, and consistent effort over time. This persistence makes Scorpio a formidable competitor in almost every area of life they choose to pursue. Whether in business, education, leadership, sports, or personal goals, Scorpio rarely quits once fully committed. Their determination is fueled by a deep inner drive that many people never fully understand. Unlike those who rely on temporary motivation, Scorpio often relies on purpose and personal conviction. Despite their strength, Scorpio is far more sensitive and emotional than most people realize at first glance. Their powerful exterior often hides an incredibly deep emotional world that very few people are allowed to see. They experience happiness, love, disappointment, heartbreak, and loss with remarkable intensity. Every emotion tends to leave a stronger impression on Scorpio than it does on many other signs. Because they dislike appearing vulnerable, they often keep these emotions private. Many people assume Scorpio is emotionally detached simply because they do not openly reveal everything they feel. The reality is usually the opposite. Scorpio often feels emotions so deeply that they become extremely protective of them. They reveal their true feelings only to people they genuinely trust. This emotional depth is one of the reasons Scorpio develops such strong compassion and understanding. They understand pain because they have experienced it themselves. They understand struggle because they have fought through difficult moments. They understand loyalty because they know the value of trust and commitment. As Scorpio matures, they begin learning one of the most important lessons of their life. They discover that true power is not about controlling other people, situations, or outcomes. In youth, power may appear to be influence, dominance, or the ability to win every battle. However, mature Scorpio eventually realizes that the greatest form of power comes from self-mastery. It comes from understanding their emotions without allowing emotions to control them. It comes from responding thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. It comes from maintaining integrity even when faced with temptation or adversity. They learn that wisdom is more valuable than revenge. They learn that healing is more valuable than resentment. They learn that growth is more valuable than remaining trapped in past pain. This evolution transforms Scorpio into one of the strongest personalities in the zodiac. Not because they dominate others, but because they understand themselves deeply and honestly. They acknowledge both their strengths and weaknesses without running from either. They confront difficult truths about themselves and use those truths as opportunities for growth. Their willingness to face reality allows them to achieve extraordinary levels of personal development. So, is Scorpio really the most dangerous zodiac sign? The answer depends entirely on what someone means when they use the word dangerous. If dangerous means cruel, harmful, violent, or intentionally destructive, then Scorpio is no more dangerous than any other sign. But if dangerous means possessing extraordinary awareness, emotional intelligence, resilience, determination, and insight, then Scorpio certainly earns its reputation. The truth is that Scorpio's hidden power is not found in intimidation, fear, revenge, or mystery alone. It is found in awareness and the ability to see beneath the surface of life. Awareness of people, emotions, motivations, and hidden truths that others often overlook completely. While others fear what they do not understand, Scorpio chooses to explore it with courage and curiosity. While others avoid darkness and discomfort, Scorpio searches for meaning, wisdom, and transformation within it. While others resist change, Scorpio embraces transformation and uses it as a path toward growth. That is why Scorpio remains one of the most powerful, misunderstood, fascinating, and unforgettable signs in the entire zodiac. Because their greatest weapon has never been their sting, it is the truth they see clearly when everyone else chooses to look away.
9 reasons why Pisces is the most dangerous zodiac sign. Do you relate to this sign? Who do you think is the most dangerous zodiac sign? Scorpio, Capricorn, or someone mysterious and sharp? You might be surprised. to learn that it's Pisces, the gentlest zodiac sign, who hides a silent, powerful dark side that's almost unbelievable. Someone who seems to know only how to love, how to dream, but who can withdraw from your heart without leaving a single word of goodbye. No blame, no anger, only silence remains. And within the 9 reasons below, there's one reason of special importance. It is the soul of this entire video. If you miss it, you might regret it for a long time, because it may be something you've always felt, but never knew how to name. So please, stay until the end. Not just to listen, but to truly understand a Pisces when they no longer speak, but their heart has already been broken long ago. And if this is your first time visiting the channel, I invite you to hit subscribe, because here you won't just discover astrology, you'll discover yourself through emotions you once thought no one in this world could ever understand. Because if you still believe that Pisces is a pure soul, always gentle, always enduring, then perhaps you've never seen them when that heart begins to shatter. Because the very first thing, and also what makes them the most dangerous, is their emotions. An ocean that seems calm, but can surge into waves and drown anyone at the most unexpected moment. Reason number 1. Emotions that are fragile, but also capable of destruction. Few dare to admit this about Pisces, that their inner world is so delicate that a single careless word could fracture their heart. But it is that very fragility, when built up over time, that can transform into an emotional force so deep it leaves those around them stunned. Because it doesn't erupt like anger, but spreads quietly like an undertow deep beneath the ocean's surface. People often mistake Pisces for being kind, weak, but in truth, they are enduring. Enduring far more than they ever speak about. They feel every vibration, every sorrow, no matter how small, from others. They can cry for the pain of a stranger or remain silent for days because of a single phrase that pierced their heart. But that pain doesn't come out in anger or accusation. It comes through withdrawal, through a haunting silence. They won't scream at you that you've done wrong. They'll simply disappear, or grow so distant that you can never reach them the same way again. I once loved a Pisces. Every time they were sad, they didn't blame, didn't get angry, they just quietly averted their gaze from me, and I felt as though I had hurt something sacred. Because their emotions are so pure, when they are altered by pain, what they leave behind isn't just hurt, it's haunting. There's a paradox. The most sensitive people are also those who can hurt you the deepest. Not because they want to, but because when they love, they give everything they have. And when that love is hurt, the only thing they have left is disappointment. Not in you, but in their own heart, for having loved too much. They don't seek revenge. They don't try to hurt you back. They simply vanish, leaving behind an emptiness that has no name. And you'll realize that void cannot be filled by anything. Because you don't know what you're apologizing for, and you're not even sure if they still want you to stay. Have you ever experienced that feeling? Someone you thought would always be gentle suddenly becomes cold, not because they hate you, but because their heart has grown too tired to keep empathizing anymore. If you've ever met a Pisces like that, or if you are someone carrying such a heart, leave a comment. It doesn't have to be long, just honest. Because maybe someone out there also needs to be understood, the same way you once wished someone would understand you. And here's another truth not many notice. Pisces can love you with their entire soul, but they can also make you miss them for a lifetime with just one silent departure. But that's only a small part of Pisces' emotional journey. Because what makes them dangerous isn't just their pain, but the way they can touch the pain of others without even speaking. And that's when we dive deeper into the next dark layer, where gentleness becomes a tool for guiding others' emotions without even realizing it. Reason number 2, the ability to lead others emotionally through gentleness without anyone noticing. And yes, if you've ever loved a Pisces, you'll understand that feeling. The feeling of being led into a world that is uniquely theirs, beautifully warm, until one day you realize you've lost your own boundaries. You weren't forced. You weren't manipulated, but you slowly came to believe following them is truly what you wanted. That's the strange power few recognize. The unspoken persuasive strength of a Pisces. They don't raise their voice. They don't command. They don't use force to control, but they possess a soft energy that touches the emotions of others naturally. They don't force you to do anything, but with their eyes, their voice, the way they share their own wounds, they make you want to stay. You want to protect them. You want to do something to stop their sadness. They make you believe you're the only one who understands them, and that if you let go, they'll fall apart. And then you slowly become the one being led, without knowing. I don't believe Pisces manipulates people intentionally, because most of the time, they're just trying to protect themselves. But sometimes, in that attempt, they unknowingly place others in a position where leaving feels like betrayal. They can make you feel guilty, even if you did nothing wrong. They can cry or go silent, and somehow you feel you've hurt them, even when you yourself are falling apart inside. And that is the most dangerous point, when pain becomes a tool to keep others from leaving, even if unconsciously. When love becomes tangled between affection and emotional debt, between gentleness and emotional pressure. Have you ever been in a relationship like that? One where you're not sure whether you're loving or slowly losing yourself because you're too afraid of hurting the other person? If you were that person or are that person now, share it in the comments. Not to blame anyone, but so you know you are not the only one who feels this way. And if you are a Pisces listening to this, I want you to know, you don't have to be in pain to make someone stay. You don't have to appear fragile to be loved, because your presence is already gentle enough. But what's more frightening is when Pisces themselves no longer believe they can be fully loved. When they feel that the world is too loud, too harsh, and the only way to keep living is to retreat from reality, to seek a gentler world, even if it only exists in dreams. And that is when we step into the next reason. A world where Pisces quietly escapes, not because they are weak, but because reality can be so cruel that even the strongest souls no longer want to face it. Reason 3. When Pisces escapes into their own world to save themselves, there are pains that cannot be named, there are wounds that cannot be described. And when words fail, Pisces often chooses to withdraw, not to avoid but to survive. When emotions become too overwhelming, when reality becomes too brutal, Pisces doesn't react like others. They don't resist, they don't fight, they choose to drift away, silently, gently, almost invisibly. If you've ever loved a Pisces, you'll know that feeling. That one day, they are no longer the person you once knew. They're still there, but their eyes look through you. They smile, but their heart is somewhere else, in a world where no one can hurt them anymore. That is not weakness. It's a survival mechanism, a way they build a private emotional space where they are free to dream, to forget, and to be themselves without needing to defend. But the problem is, when dreams become the only refuge, they begin to drift away from reality. They no longer see the one who is trying to stay. They can no longer feel the hands reaching out to pull them back. I once witnessed a Pisces vanish like that. Not physically, but mentally, emotionally. They were right in front of me, but I couldn't reach them. And what haunts me the most is I didn't know what to do except wait for them to return. But they never did. Their escape wasn't a rejection of you, it was a rejection of pain. And sometimes, in that process, they unintentionally lose the very people who love them the most. Have you ever been the one left behind? Or are you the one who's running away? Sometimes, we don't want to leave anyone, but the weight inside is so heavy that staying hurts more than going. If you are in days like that right now, please remember, it's okay to need silence. But let the one who loves you know that you're still here, that you're just resting, that you don't need to be saved, but you still want to be held. And if you're beside a Pisces like that, please be patient. Don't shout to bring them back. Don't try to explain their pain with logic. Just sit, quietly, like a shore, for them to return to when they are brave enough to face the world again. Because when no dream is beautiful enough to hide in anymore, Pisces will come back to themselves and to those who are truly there for them. But what if the pain keeps going? If the sorrow won't fade? If the wounds continue to pile up? Then what happens? That's when we enter a deeper part of Pisces' soul, where the darkness is no longer wrapped in gentleness, but becomes a part of who they are, silent, deep, and sometimes dangerously unpredictable. Reason 4. When Pisces quietly loses themselves in their inner darkness. Because when the dreams are no longer beautiful enough to hide in, when even the inner world they've built begins to crumble, Pisces is forced to return, but not to others, to the very shadows they once tried to avoid. And that is when everything goes quiet, terrifyingly quiet. No more gentle words, no more tender glances, only silence remains, so deep you can't reach it. Pisces can move among people like a lost soul, smiling while their heart is bleeding. No one thinks they're hurting because they hide it so well. They don't talk about the sadness, they don't show collapse, but inside the waves are screaming and no one hears. That silence is the most dangerous part. You won't know how deeply Pisces is hurting until they erupt in a way you never expected. Not in anger, but in strange behaviors, distant words, or sometimes vanishing without a trace. I once knew a Pisces like that. They laughed at every party, listened to everyone's sorrows, and then one day they broke down. No one knew why. No one understood what had happened. But in truth, it had been happening for a long time. No one was sensitive enough to notice. Pisces has a rare ability. They can carry the whole world's sadness in their heart and still make others feel loved. And because of that, they are rarely asked, "Are you okay?" Because everyone thinks they are the healer, not someone who also needs healing. Have you ever been the one who always smiles to keep others at peace, but inside you feel empty? Have you ever faced the darkest parts of yourself alone, because you were afraid no one would understand if you spoke? If the answer is yes, I want you to know this. You are not alone, and you are not wrong for once being fragile. That only proves that you are truly human, alive, feeling, trying to find your way out of your own darkness. Pisces can get lost in very deep realms of thought, places not everyone is brave enough to enter. They reflect, they judge themselves, they hurt themselves, and then they try to heal on their own. But no one can stay strong forever, alone. And sometimes, what they need is not someone to pull them out of the dark, but someone who dares to stay there with them, in that space. No judgment, no lectures, just presence, and the patience to wait. Pisces is like the ocean, sometimes crystal clear, sometimes stormy, and sometimes so still that it scares people because no one knows what lies beneath. And when the pain has been repressed for too long, when layer after layer of emotion has nowhere to flow, Pisces will seek another way out, not through emotion, not through logic, but through intuition, a kind of sensing power that goes beyond what others can comprehend. It is at that very moment, on the borderline between emotion and the unconscious, that a Pisces can become either deeply understanding or dangerously unpredictable. Reason 5. Intuition is a double-edged sword, and Pisces always knows when to use it to protect or as an answer to pain. And because of that, in a place where reason no longer speaks, Pisces begins to listen to the soft inner voice, intuition. Not everyone has intuition as strong as Pisces. They don't need evidence, they don't need words, they don't even need you to show any clear expression. They still know, still feel, still see. And what makes them different is that they don't react immediately. They stay silent, observe, and remember. Not because they want to control anyone, but because they can sense the truth others are trying to hide. A glance that shifts, a hesitant answer, a tiny change in energy. To others, it's accidental. To Pisces, it's an alarm bell. And that very sensitivity, when placed in the hands of a wounded heart, becomes a blade. Not to stab, but to gently cut into the exact spot, the deepest, the most painful, the place you never thought anyone could see. They don't scold you, they don't make a scene, but they say the one sentence that silences you. All it takes is one look, enough to make you reflect on yourself. And that is the scariest part. They make you face the part of you that you've been running away from. I was once asked by a Pisces, very gently, "What are you hiding in your heart?" And I remember I couldn't answer. Not because I didn't want to, but because I never thought anyone could see through the mask I had worn for so many years. Pisces has an intuition, like a mirror. When you stand before them, you don't see them, you see yourself. And if you're not ready to face the truth, you will feel fear. Feel invaded. Feel like someone has opened all the secret drawers inside your soul. And the thing is, they don't do it on purpose. They just know, as if it's something natural. And when they recognize that truth, they have two choices. 1 is to quietly accept and use love to heal. 2 is to use their intuition as a defense mechanism, guiding others with emotions, with overwhelming understanding, to the point where the other person feels like they're being manipulated by their own feelings. No shouting, no forcing, but also no escape. Have you ever felt like you were being steered by an emotion that wasn't yours? That you were doing something not because you truly wanted to, but because you were afraid of hurting the other person, afraid of that tear falling, afraid of losing that gaze? If you've ever felt that way, leave a comment. To acknowledge that you've been through something deep, and to let the Pisces listening know they hold power, but they also carry the responsibility of that power. Because love is empathy, but love is not control. And sometimes, the feeling of being seen through can also be a kind of wound if it doesn't come with compassion. Pisces can use intuition to heal. But if the pain inside them is too great, they might also use intuition to protect themselves, to keep someone from leaving, or silently push them into emotional states they once endured. The confusion, the helplessness, the inability to name what they're feeling. And what happens when that deep understanding is no longer used to love, but to hold on, to remind, to reproach, to keep someone from leaving, even when their heart already wants to go? It is right there that we step into a part of Pisces that few dare to speak of. The contradiction between gentleness and the capacity to wound deeply, not through action, but through words, at just the right time, in the most painful place. Reason 6. When gentleness becomes a blade, so sharp it hurts without even cutting. There are things no one thinks are dangerous until they experience them with their own heart. The gentleness of Pisces is one of the most beautiful things you can ever feel in life. They don't love with reason, nor do they love to receive something in return. They love as if they were born programmed to love, gently, compassionately, quietly, and full of sacrifice. But from that softness sometimes emerges an edge that hurts more than any anger ever could. When a Pisces is pushed to the limit, they don't scream, they don't fight back. They simply say one sentence that completely breaks you. A very short, very soft sentence, but it touches the exact part you're afraid to face. No harsh words, no raised voice, but it echoes endlessly inside you like a haunting aftertaste. I remember once during an argument that Pisces simply said, "I don't think you ever truly understood me." And that was enough. Not because the sentence was cruel, but because it was true. So true that I couldn't forgive myself. And from then on I realized something. Pisces doesn't hurt you with harshness, but with truth. And sometimes that truth is wrapped in a very warm blanket, so when you realize it, it's already too late to defend yourself. What makes them dangerous is not toxicity. It's their sensitivity, so deep they always know where the deepest weakness of someone's soul lies. They don't use it to hurt unless they feel forced to defend themselves. But once they react, they don't need weapons. Their words are enough. Have you ever been awakened by a sentence that brought up all the guilt you buried? A sentence that didn't make you angry, didn't make you blame, just made you want to disappear for a while, to not face yourself. If you've ever felt that, please share. Not to blame Pisces, but to reflect. What did you learn from that heartbreak? Because behind that sharpness, Pisces is still a heart full of wounds. They don't speak to destroy you. They speak to say something they've held in for so long and finally had to let out, because there was no other way. But what's more terrifying is not that they hurt you, it's that they don't regret it. Not because they're cold, but because they believe that if they have to choose between staying silent to protect you and speaking out to save themselves, then this is one of the rare times they choose themselves. And that is also why they become more silent after each time like that. Because they know every time they use words as a defense reflex, something inside them also breaks. If you're with a Pisces, don't wait until their silence stretches too long. Look at them carefully. Ask sincerely, how much sadness are you holding in without saying a word? And if they don't answer, understand this. Silence is their final cry for help. If you've ever felt that, if you've ever let someone leave and couldn't stop it, I invite you to leave a comment. It doesn't have to be a story, just write, "I understand this feeling." Because who knows, maybe on the other side of the screen there's a Pisces waiting for someone to understand them. just once. And if you are that Pisces, I just want to say this to you. You don't have to keep retreating forever. You don't have to turn off your emotions to protect yourself. You don't have to disappear for others to finally know how much you were hurting. You deserve to be loved, not because you endured so much, but because your heart is so real. You deserve to be heard, even when you no longer have the words to explain. And if the world doesn't understand you yet, that's okay, as long as you haven't stopped understanding yourself. If this part made your heart tighten somewhere deep inside, please stay a few moments longer after this video and write something just for you. Something you once longed to say, but no one ever had the patience to hear. Because sometimes just one word at the right time can keep a soul from giving up. And if you're still here, all the way to the last second of this video, then I believe your heart is deep, real, and truly beautiful. Please subscribe if you want to keep exploring the hidden pieces of the zodiac soul. We'll meet again, not just in videos, but in every moment when you need someone to truly understand you. No matter who you are or where you are on your emotional journey, I hope you'll always have the courage to protect your soft heart. And if one day you feel lost in this world, just remember, there's always a place you can return to. That place is you, a Pisces, gentle, deep, and never stops believing in love.